2026 regular township committee meeting of the Waterford Township, the Committee of Waterford Township is called to order at 7 p.m. by the Mayor Stephanie Jones Freitag. Statement of conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of time and date for this meeting appeared in Resolution 2026-7, dated January 5th, 2026. This notice was sent to the Courier Post and Hamilton Gazette newspapers as a legal notice and sunshine notice in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. It is also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. Anyone from the public wishing to speak will be permitted to do so during public participation portions. The agenda has been posted on the township webpage and bulletin board in the municipal building. Please place all cell phones on mute to alleviate disruption of the meeting. And for the salute to the flag today, we have a volunteer, Carter Thatch. So Carter, can you come on up? Everybody, please stand for the salute to the flag. When you're ready, Carter, you lead us, okay?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Drop
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, look down upon us tonight as we deliberate issues involving our township and its citizens. Steer us in the right direction to make wise choices and keep everybody in mind while we're doing that. For this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I would like to take a moment of silence for Edna Day, but before that, I'd like to read a little something put together by her granddaughter. Edna has been very involved in our community, and she passed away recently. Originally born in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Edna made Waterford Township in Acco her home in the early 1970s. Upon moving to Acco after just a few short years, Edna's first volunteer service was as an active member of her parish at the time, which was Assumption Church, later becoming Christ Redeemer. Going on from there to become Cub Scout Den Leader for her son's troop. Then in 1974, she also joined the Lions Club Association. In 1977, Edna continued to add to her list of volunteer services by joining the Camden County Board of Elections and continued until 2023. As if those volunteer opportunities were not enough, Edna was just getting started. In 1978, she completed basic fire training with ATCO Volunteer Fire Company. Her and her daughter were the first two female firefighters with the squad. I believe in the county, too. She was also a member of the ATCO ambulance squad, joining in the early 1980s, which later became the Waterford Township EMS. Over the years, Edna continued to serve her community until briefly taking a break in the early 1990s to help raise her granddaughters. Even then, she found a way to remain part of her ATCO community by working at her daughter's hair salon, The Salon, which has resided in Waterford Township since its opening in the early 90s. Edna then moved back to ATCO when the opportunity presented itself. She immersed herself holding long-term positions with both the American Legion and as president of the ATCO Senior Center, ensuring memberships at both continued to rise. She brought many new programs to the Senior Center as well, taking time to make sure her members at the seniors were well cared for by cooking homemade Easter dinners and Christmas Eve, and providing warm meals to hundreds. She also volunteered with the Community Care and Outreach Food Pantry to ensure seniors had options. While also serving with her church, ATCO Assembly of God has volunteered for many different positions. She was very humbled to receive the Mayor's Award in 2023 in recognition of her service to the community. I would like to say I met Edna as senior president, so in 2023, and she was always very kind, very nice, and I was really, I enjoyed her service. It kind of got me to know her in a way that I didn't know her. She was loved by her family, by friends who became family. She was an adventurer, it seems, and maybe a little bit mischievous sometimes. She seemed like she was a really fun lady in her youth. And I hope that, when my time comes, I can be remembered as lovingly as Edna was. So if we can now have a moment of silence for Edna Day, please. Thank you. Roll call vote, please. I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Committeeman Doney.
Here.
Committeeman Shinjulio.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wade.
Here.
Committeeman Yukas.
Here.
Mayor Jones Freitag.
Here.
Professionals, we have Joe Maressa, Township Solicitor. Daniel Cormany, Administrator and Waterford Township Police Chief. Dawn Lita, Township Clerk. Deb Shaw-Blemmings, Deputy Township Clerk. Danelle Bright, Chief Financial Officer. Vincent Renzulli, Superintendent of Public Works. Michael Doherty, Administrative Assistant to the Committee. Jeff Hansen, Township Engineer from Environmental Resolutions, Rich Buscemi, our Township Tax Assessor, and William Gardner, the Chief of Waterford Township EMS.
For presentations, I would like to now introduce our Chief Financial Officer, Janelle Bright, and Tax Assessor, Rich Buscemi, to give a presentation regarding reassessments.
Go ahead. I'm here for support.
All right, good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Do you want me to speak in the mic?
No, Mike.
Okay, good evening. Again, my name is Rich Buscemi. As mentioned, I am the tax assessor for Waterford Township. For those of you who are not aware, we were ordered to do a town-wide reassessment. We were ordered to do so by the Division of Taxation of the state of New Jersey. It's overseen by the Camden County Board of Taxation. So just a little background, this is a process that happens about every 10 or 15 years. The last time this was done was back in 2014. I don't know if anyone was around for that. But if you are aware, you might remember that it's a lot goes into it, one of which is doing field inspections. So we will hire some field staff to actually conduct these inspections of your properties. That includes a walkthrough of, inside the house. What's up to you, I highly suggest that you certainly let someone in, as to ensure accuracy, how many bedrooms, bathrooms you have, overall condition of your home, so on and so forth. It also will include the measurement of the outside of your house to make sure accuracy of your square footage of your home and measurements of any accessory buildings you have, garage, pools, anything that is accessible. It's to touch on the inspectors. All the inspectors will have a township issued ID. If you're unsure of, anything with the inspection, by all means, going inside your house, feel free to call and verify, the township or the police department immediately if you're unsure or unsafe. You remember, it is your property, but we do want to make sure that you're not assessed for anything that you don't have. We want to make sure you're completely assessed accurately. So, right now, the goal of a reassessment is to bring your assessment to market value. Right now, your assessment is a percentage of market value. We're a little below 60% of market value, so the goal is to bring it up to 100% for the year 2027. Inspections will conclude for pretty much the, on and off throughout the year. If someone's not home during the initial inspection, we will leave a card and you can give us a call back and set up an appointment. At the end of the process, you will be sent a value notice letter indicating your new estimated assessment and estimated taxes for the following year. At that point, you'll be able to contact me to have a sit-down meeting or a phone call to go over that, any questions, concerns, or if you disagree. Keep in mind it is mass appraisal. So, it's not an exact science. So, I encourage you, if you're unsure, if you have questions, please, reach out immediately and, you can go over it. And then after that, if, just giving your, the whole process, if you still disagree with the number after review, if there is even a revised number, you always have the right to file what's called a tax appeal at the Board of Taxation, and you'll have until May 1st to do so, because it's after a reassessment year. Any other year, it's April 1st, and any year you have the right to file an appeal. Just keep in mind, you cannot appeal your taxes, you can only appeal your assessed value. I know everyone gets a little concerned with, you hear taxes, tax reassessment, everyone's always like, okay, will this mean more money for the town? This is going to raise all the taxes. It's not true at all. It's actually a completely tax neutral program. Your assessment will change most likely. Like I said, right now the average assessment is only 60% of market value. To use a quick example, if the average assessment is, say, 50% of market value, the average assessment goes up or double. To compensate for the difference, the tax rate for this value has to be cut in half to still obtain the same budget. And that's why it's tax neutral. Now, it doesn't mean everyone's taxes will stay exactly the same, because some homes, property values might go up more than a certain percentage or below a certain percentage. But overall, the rule of thumb is around a third of the taxes should stay, a third of the town taxpayers' taxes will stay neutral, a third will go up, and a third will go down. But there's not exact science who will or won't go up in taxes. Anything else?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Rich was saying, if you, because there is concern about if my house gets reassessed and now, I'm 360,000 versus 180,000, which is essentially what we're kind of looking at. My taxes are automatically going to go up, and it is tax neutral. Again, if your value goes up across the town, which will happen, that's why we're only at 58%. We will be at 100%, so the value of the town will increase, but it just means the tax rate's going to go down. Like he said, 30% or a third is going to be the state, they're going to be the same. A third of the people, their taxes are going to go down, and a third are going to go up. I do want to touch on that a little bit and explain a little bit. The people that are going up in taxes, it just means for the past 10, 15 years, they've been subsidized by people who were maybe assessed over what they should have been assessed when the last revaluation was done. I did want to clear something up too. A revaluation usually is done every 10 years. That does not mean that it is mandated by law every 10 years. The County Board of Taxation could mandate us to have a revaluation, in 5 years, in 7 years. It all depends on the ratio. So right now, again, we're at 58%. They can mandate it when it's under 85%. So it's really important that we stay up to 100%.
And it ensures everyone's paying their fair share in taxes. I mean, that's the end goal of it.
Yeah.
Because, when it goes 10, 15 years, a lot of things can get, it's not equitable. So we want to make sure, everyone's paying their fair share. Does anyone have any questions? I can't answer questions, specifically about your property, but about the process. I'm more happy to answer any questions.
When does it start?
So I don't have an exact timeline yet, but we will notify all the residents via letter saying this, the process is starting, and then the inspections will, soon start after that. But it's about a year-long process, start to finish.
So you said we have up to May to dispute if we had any issues,
So-
up to 2027, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yeah, and that's your right to file an appeal toward taxation. But at the end of the process, you'll have an opportunity to talk to me if you disagree.
And that's of next year you're talking about,
It'll be towards the end of this year.
end of this year?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And will you notify us when you're coming to our property beforehand, so we can know we're home or not?
So not specifically, as I mentioned, if you weren't home, or to leave the card and call back for an appointment. So it's just too hard, logistical, it's impossible to say when we're going to be in your area.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a way to determine if somebody is or is not farm, like what if somebody's been set up as a farm and is no longer, or the other way around?
Yep, yeah, so that will, we'll be doing farm inspections for every property as well. Anyone who's qualified, correct.
How do you determine what's qualified?
Well, there's a process, right? There's an application that's filed by the taxpayer. They have to meet certain requirements. I go in more detail with you.
Does anybody ever follow up on any of that?
Sure, that's my job.
When was the last time you followed up on a property that was being assessed as a farm?
Well, every year that it's based off what they
No, you said it's your job specifically. Can you cite specifically when the last time you went to a property to verify that it's a farm?
Yeah, it's like we do it every couple of years. I go out and inspect the
But you
town.
just said it's your job.
Right.
You only do it every couple of years?
Yeah, that's all, unless there's something in question, right? Unless someone brings something to my
I could just
attention.
write it and say, I'm a farm, and you'll lower my taxes?
There's certain criteria for you to be farmland assessed, and
But-
Rich has to go through and review.
Right, and the farm application that's filled out, it's a legal document. If you're taking advantage of that, it's on you as a taxpayer.
But you're not gonna come out and follow up anyway, so what's the difference? I'm just being, you laugh at it, but I asked you a question and you said, you can't cite the
If
last time you
someone-
went out. You told me a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, so
It's
any
your job
new
to check
farms, right, so
But
any
you
new
can't tell,
farms.
wait, just,
Okay.
you told me specifically it's your job to check that. And then you can't tell me the last time you went out physically and checked it.
So every year, I do get new farms, applications. And they're the ones, the new farms I always go out and follow up every year until they are established and, then they file the paperwork. So, yeah, and then again, unless something's comes in up to my attention. But same thing with any other property, right? If people don't pull permits, it's not my job to go and look for who doesn't pull permits, who did or didn't do work. one person, but if something comes to my attention or if a taxpayer files an appeal, it's a different story. And then we file the change of name there.
So you don't follow up on it?
So Rich, can I just ask a question? So annually, people apply for their farmland assessments, right, to to continue their qualification?
Correct.
Correct, okay. So at any time during that process, you could go and inspect those farms. What you're saying is farms that have had experience, let's say they've been around for decades and decades, and they can show receipts, you've been there before, you know that they're an ongoing, farm because you come and work in the town. You don't necessarily feel the need to go out there and visually and physically inspect their entire property. It's usually just the ones that are coming in with new farmland applications
Correct.
that you're gonna go out and make sure that those are definitely taken care of. Or if you hear something that comes up like, hey, this guy's actually still getting farmland assessed and he hasn't, done anything, or it was sold or anything like that, you'd be
Correct.
notified of that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Rich, if I may, also with the farmland, there's several different farmland applications. There's one that we grow crops, there's one that is for trees, woodland management. Under the woodland management, the state comes out, I know for me, they do every 3 years where they physically walk with my engineer, because I have to have an engineer that prepares that plan. And my engineer walks my site every year. And then there's forms that have to be filled out and sent in, and that's August 1st, right?
August 1st, right?
August 1st. And then you have another one that is for animals, okay? So there's different levels of farmland assessment. It's not, we all grow tomatoes.
No, I understand that, somebody should go out and look, if you're set up for animals, verify there's animals there. If you're set up to grow Christmas trees, are there Christmas trees there? That's, if you're gonna tax us like that, you should follow up and make sure. You're gonna come look at my house and try and change my taxes, well, why aren't you going and looking and making sure
Well,
that's
yeah,
being done?
this is, right, that's why we're doing a town-wide assessment, every property will be looked at.
But are they gonna look at, are there animals on the farm?
Absolutely, yeah, during the reassessment, yeah.
And
And
same,
if there is an issue, then that's what's gonna be brought to my attention, and then I'll follow up.
Have you ever caught anybody that's farm assessed that has been changed?
This is a presentation, so if you have direct questions that aren't related directly to this presentation, you can certainly follow up with them later, but if there's anyone else who has questions, I'd like to invite you to ask your question now. Anybody else?
Farm assessment has to be 5 acres or more, right?
It's 5 dedicated acres.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, appreciate your time. Closed session, there is no closed session at this time. Emergency items to be added to the agenda. Dawn, do you have any emergency items?
Mayor, I do not have any emergency items to add to the agenda.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
motion,
Second?
On a motion by Andrew Wade, second by Tom Vigil, to approve regular committee meeting and closed session minutes of December 10th, 2025, and special meeting minutes of December 30th, 2025 as presented. Regular meeting, December 10th, 2025, closed session, December 10th, 2025, special meeting, December 30th, 2025. Can I have a poll vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Gingilio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
yes.
Mr. Yukus? You were not on committee, so.
Right, abstaining from December, both December 10th, yeah, abstaining from all.
And Mayor Jones Freitag.
Yes.
401, motion carried on all.
Adoption ordinances. Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2026-1?
Motion,
Ordinance
Second?
2026-1, an ordinance of the Township of Waterford authorizing a special emergency appropriation per NJS 40A:4-53 for the preparation and execution of a complete program of reassessment of real property. I now open up the meeting to the public for comments regarding ordinance 2026-1. Any comments? Close the public hearing for comments. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Gingilio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
yes.
Mr. Yukus?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2026-2?
Motion,
Second?
Ordinance 2026-2, the ordinance of the Township of Waterford amending Chapter 50 of the Code of the Township of Waterford captioned Police Department. Public hearing. I now open up the meeting to the public for comments regarding ordinance 2026-2. This one, primarily, the changes are from the number of officers from patrol, and then that's changing from 16 to 12, and then changing qualifications in paragraph B. So no longer requiring a minimum associate's degree. You can also count educational on-the-job experiences or active military service.
Is there any reason why it's going from 16 to 12?
That I do not have the answer to.
Okay. It's really always been 12. There was a mistake in the ordinance that we caught when we were doing the education piece. The reason we're changing the education piece is because all the other departments require a high school diploma, and we're not able to compete with them, and we get locked out of a lot of candidates because of that for, worthy making police officers.
Any other questions?
I know. Do we encourage our officers to become their associates, or is it just an automatic, if you have a high school diploma, you can apply for the position?
I'm sorry, can I have your name and address?
Sure. Joanne Sabasco, 1714 Victoria Lane.
Thank you, sorry.
That's okay.
May I answer?
Go ahead.
May I answer? Yeah. Yes, they can apply if they have a high school diploma as soon as this ordinance is amended. Right now, they need to have the 60 college credits for military experience. We do encourage them to get the education after they come here. Most of our promotions still have that in there as preferred. They get points for that as they get promoted.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any further questions? All right, closing public hearing for comments. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Conjulio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukas?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag?
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2026-3?
Motion.
I'll second it. Ordinance 2026-3, ordinance establishing salaries and wages of certain officers and employees of the Township of Waterford, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, effective January 1st, 2026. And I now open the meeting to the public for comments regarding the ordinance 2026-3, but please remember, come up to the microphone, state your name and address if you have a question. Any questions? Closing public hearing for comments. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Conjulio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukas?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag?
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Committee reports. Jeff Hansen, ERI Township Engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have a report dated January 18th. Go through the update items. Pamela Court and Sesame Street anticipate having a pre-con with Pick Pavers. That's the contractor within, sometime in the next couple of weeks, probably in February, so we can get that going once the weather breaks. Also, we've got it. I guess when Sesame Street was built, there was no drainage easement for where the water has to run when we looked at the tax maps. So I'm working with Dave's office, with Joe's office, to get easements from the property owners, because we have a system of bubbler inlets to take the water to the back, out to the ditch that eventually goes underneath the road, up the big ditch by Anthony, I think it's Anthony Drive there or whatever. It's eventually where the water was supposed to go. I don't think it was built correctly, because it was never base paved, or it was base paved, but it was never topped. But at any rate, we're working with, the drainage issue there, we're working with Dave's office to get the appropriate easements from those homeowners, and he's giving me their contact information. So we'll get all that worked out and get construction going as soon as the weather breaks. I know Pink is eager to get started over there. The pickleball and hockey courts, we added I see on the agenda tonight, the rec committee asked for some push button assemblies for the lighting system, with the strobes or whatever. So we approved that. They're gonna come back. Bob's gonna put them in. It was I think it's a $3,000 some change order on that. The pump station specs, I had to get the preferred federal template for the specs. They make us use these EGA CDC specs for all their projects, so I'm transferring a lot of the information over to that. I'm trying to get that up there by the end of the week. Everything else is approved. It's just these final spec revisions to get that out to bid, so that could be a project for hopefully this summer and fall. The Colgate Road water system interconnection, We've been going back and forth to Neary. We had a pre-construction meeting back before the new year. We've been going back and forth to Neary on various shop drawing submittals. He's eager to get going. I think he'll probably get going sometime in the middle of February. That shouldn't take more than about 2 months tops, I think, for that project to be completed. And I know we wanted to have that done well in advance of the warehouses being completed, so we'll have that interconnection and operation well before the warehouses go online. And speaking of the warehouses, they're moving along with the utilities. They've cleared much of the site. They're excavating the stormwater basins. That's moving along nicely. They're working on water and sewer this week, Pro Rock Construction. Stormwater infrastructure mapping, we got some more comments back from DEP. These guys had to go out and verify some field information as far as clogged inlets, et cetera, that the state had asked for. We're finishing the final, hopefully, the third round of final revisions to the map so that we can get this thing finally approved. The dugouts over at Thomas Richards, I spoke with Doc and the chief and Vinny today. We're gonna help them with getting some quotes to get those, I know it's a real hot button item. We wanna get some quotes to get those constructed ASAP, so I'll be working with them to put a quote package together so that we can get them under construction as soon as possible. They originally were gonna be done under volunteer labor, but there's been a change of course there. So we're gonna work together to get that done. And then the municipal building parking lot, you awarded that to Landberg at the December meeting. I imagine that's another project that once up a little bit, we'll get them over here to do that. That shouldn't be more than a week to mill that out, do the little bit of sidewalk and the aprons and pave that. That should be a relatively quick job. And then I had one other thing that's not in the report. The 2026 local recreation improvement grant fund that's administered through NJDCA is the applications are due on February 13th. I talked to the chief and we were talking about using the money to rehab the fields over, the baseball and softball fields, correct? Typically you get around $75,000. I don't know if we haven't really analyzed it to see if that's gonna be enough to do it. You might have to allocate a little bit of additional capital money if that's a project you wanna go forward. Every year these grants seem to be, I've never seen them more than like $85,000. That's what we got last year to do the pickle courts, to eventually do the pickleball courts over at Ritter. We had about the same amount as a supplemental funding source for the Waterford Rec pickleball and hockey courts. So I wouldn't anticipate getting any more than that. And it's due Friday the 13th of February, so I can have Dawn put if that's your pleasure, I can have her put a resolution on the agenda for the meeting on the 11th, because it has to be submitted with that application. And if you want to change course between now and then, there's plenty of time. But I need at least a couple of weeks to do the cost estimate and put the application together. But if it's everybody's pleasure, we'll move forward with the rehab of those fields and file accordingly. And that concludes all the updates in my report. I'm happy to answer any questions, comments.
Jeff, couple of questions actually. I was out the opening night at the new hockey and pickleball courts. Vinny and I were walking around looking at a couple of things. What are we doing for handicap access?
We're gonna have think pavers when they do the road program go over and put some sidewalks around that. I think the issue was it was flat, and then we left the millings in place, so the rink got constructed higher. So now we gotta do ADA accessibility. We're gonna have to I talked to Andy about this too, the chief, when they come in to do the road program, I'm gonna have them go put sidewalks for ADA.
And then the other thing I was concerned about, the light poles that are on the parking lot side of the hockey court, they're down in a hole.
Yeah, we had them put some retaining curbs around them to try to protect the poles.
Yeah, there's retaining curbs, but we were standing there talking, and the kids were walking on the curbs, jumping down on the poles. I'm just afraid somebody's gonna get hurt. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it, and we'll come up with something to protect that. It was something we sort of just added at the end of Keith's recommendation, so that the poles were protected. I didn't think of it as a tripping hazard really at the time, or paneling. We'll look at it.
Just take a look at it, see what you can do with
We'll see what we can protect it. The idea of putting those retaining walls or curbs, or whatever you want to call them, was to try to protect the poles from erosion and that kind of thing.
it. No, I understand that. There's that much room between the curb and the pole, and it's
Something could break an ankle down.
That's exactly what I'm worried about.
And we'll come up with like a prefab plastic
Just
cover
take a
we
look
can
at
put
it.
on there or something. We'll take a look at it with time.
Okay.
Jeff, I have a question too. This rec grant, this can be used to rehab the fields?
Yes.
So we verified that?
I actually, I didn't know because we've done other kind of projects, so I was talking to Alex in my office, I had him look into it, and he said, yeah, it's a pretty wide array of things that you can use.
Okay, I thought it had to be some type of new improvement.
No, as long as it's recreation based, like Lindenwold, for instance, as one of my clients, they used it to resurface a basketball court.
Okay.
That was 2 years ago, and then this year, past, they put fitness equipment in one of their parks. So it's a
Okay.
wide array of activities that you can do. It just really has to be recreation based.
Can you send me a copy of that?
I'll send you a copy
Yeah,
of the
cool.
regs.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll make a note of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Robert Doney?
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding communications newsletter, we are in the preliminary stages of developing a newsletter. I would say the discovery stages. We are taking a look at some other similar communities like Waterford, what their newsletters look like at the moment. And I would anticipate that we'll probably do it twice a year. Of course, all of this will have to be run by a full committee and take a look at as it relates to how often, the edification process, the cost, of course. But right now, I'll try to give a report every month and an update on where we are on that. As far as finance, we're in the budget process. I'd say budget review process and development. And we're fairly well along on it compared to other years. And probably anticipate having the budget done by March, I don't know.
Sometime in February, yeah.
Which is a good thing. And again, we'll report on that as we go. No report of the school board because tonight is their meeting and I'm not attending. There will be minutes from that meeting that I will share with everyone in February, as well as anything else, assuming that the meetings are not conflicting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Giangiulio?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to read the OEM report because it's it affects what's going to happen this weekend. By many indications, we could have a significant snowstorm this weekend accompanied by intense cold temperatures. Now is the time to prepare for the upcoming weather. If you have propane or oil heat, be sure you have ample amounts in your tanks. Gather all snow removal gear, including salt or ice melt. This storm may have double-digit snow amounts in some areas. If you need to travel, have a snow kit for your vehicle to include ice melt, shovel, flashlight, extra gloves, hats, and blankets. This storm has the potential to be a serious impact for our area. Check multiple sources for updated information and be weather aware. Fire Department report for December. Fire Department responded to 51 calls for service. For the month of December, there were 29 daytime calls, 22 nighttime calls. The members spent 698 man-hours on calls and 388 man-hours on training for the month of December. Firefighters drilled on the following topics in the month of December: RIT-PAC and Hemisphere in-service training, work night Santa prep, work night equipment cleanup, work night foam switch out. Given the winter weather, residents are reminded to ensure their vents for gas-fired appliances are not blocked or buried by snow. This can lead to a buildup of carbon monoxide in your home. Residents should have carbon monoxide detectors on each level of the home, including basements. This will be the only way for residents to know if they have a carbon monoxide issue within their home. Respectfully, Chris Sylvia. And the reason Chris is not here tonight is he's very ill with the flu. The police department report, and also I have a yearly report here from the fire department. Anybody that wishes to see it, I didn't want to read it because it's several pages long. I'll leave it with Dawn. You're welcome to take a look at it. The PD report, during the month of December, officers responded to 1,250 calls for service, issued 259 summons, made 18 arrests. The officers logged 2,990.2 patrol hours, traveled 11,237 miles, made 53 school zone checks, 39 recreation field security checks, and 327 business security checks. Moving on to the county commissioners with the parks. I am in the process right now. We had a meeting with them back at the beginning of December, and they were working on several different permits that are required for them to move forward with Echo Lake, all of which are tied up with DEP and Pinelands. We had talked to them about potentially meeting sometime mid to late January to get an update on that. So I am in the process of doing that right now. I reached out to Commissioner Nash's office today and the Parks Commission office, and I've not heard back from them as of yet. Civics and events, we have St. Patrick's Day coming up on March the 14th. The rain date is March 15th. That'll be their first event for the year, so I'm sure Louise will have a calendar coming out for everybody so that you know all the different events. And we're also going to talk to Louise about the 250th anniversary of the United States, about doing something for 4th of July. Economic development, we've been meeting with several potential redevelopers. There's nothing to report at this time, mainly because everything's in the very beginning stages. There's nothing serious yet. It's just talk. So as things progress and we start getting a little bit closer as far as whether they're going to move or not move, I'll update you accordingly. The Historical Society, I spoke with Joe Coyote about shelving for the storage shed. He's been working with Chief Cormany. I've also discussed moving forward with the train station. Been speaking with Camden County Open Space about some potential grant money that we may be able to get sometime in 2026 to help facilitate the new train station. I've also been speaking with Congressman Norcross's office. I'm not anticipating too much coming through from the federal government because they're cutting a lot of stuff right now. And quite frankly, we don't know what's going to get cut in the state of New Jersey. We got a brand new governor, so who knows what's coming down. And that concludes my report, Steph.
Thank you. And Rodriguez.
Thanks, Mayor. So construction and zoning. 24 construction permits were issued in the month of December for different projects throughout the town. But the big one was the P&K warehouse project. Their permit was issued, which brought in a permit fee of $271,000 for Waterford Township, which is probably the biggest permit fee in the history of Waterford Township. And Waterford keeps over $250,000 of that fee. I know, I've been hearing a lot over that warehouse project about, it's benefiting the township or whatever, but there is a pilot program attached to that. Everybody thinks that we're not getting any money out of that. Waterford will get $12 million over 20 years from that warehouse project, and it brings no burden to the township, or minimal burden to the township. We're not picking up the trash, they're not adding kids to the schools, so all that revenue coming in is going to benefit, the residents of this town, and there's a lot of misconception about that, so I just want to clear that up. What else? There's additional permit fees coming on that project too. That $250,000, $270,000 that we got is only for the building portion of that. So you still have permits coming in for electric, plumbing, fire protection, all that kind of stuff. So there's more coming into the town that's going to benefit, our residents from that project. Planning board. So Monday night was our reorganization for planning board. We moved Mike Aki up from an alternate seat to a permanent seat. We added a new gentleman with an engineering background as an alternate. Ken Moriello was reconfirmed as our board chairman. Jody Siaka was reconfirmed as the vice chairman. So we have a real good board there for the planning board. We're looking forward to 2026. I don't really have any update on the negotiation subcommittee. Code enforcement, I did meet with Jimmy Jankowski. We talked a little bit about some issues throughout the town with different properties that might not have business licenses in place, storing vehicles on the property that are not registered, operating illegal businesses, things like that. So we are going to be looking for that and issuing warnings and stuff related to those. There's also the continuing bulk trash issue where people are leaving mattresses out at the curb and they're not putting them in bags, or they're putting the bulk trash out on weeks that they aren't picked up, and I know he's going around and looking for that. Another issue they have is, and you can talk about this a little bit, but TVs and stuff that are going out at the curb that they don't pick up during bulk trash at all. So any large televisions, electronics, things like that, they need to be dropped off directly to the convenience center on Saturdays. So they're going to be trying to enforce that as well. As far as the recreation committee, Jeff touched on this a little bit with the dugouts for Thomas Richards. So that's moving forward. I have a couple notes here. We're working to resolve the drainage issues on Burnt Mill we're gonna meet out there and look at those issues to see what we can do about the soccer fields and try to get some of them back up and operational and see if we can do some of that through Public Works. We touched on the capital grant for Ritter. Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Wade?
Okay, I'm not going to bore you too much with Public Works as far as how many tons, how many leaves and stuff they picked up. Basically, it's winter time and we haven't had significant storms for quite some time. So please prepare, remove your cars from the roads, put them in your driveways, whatever. But if they're in the road, it hampers clearing the road. Fortunately, the storm is going to start on Saturday night or Sunday morning, and then it's going to go all day Sunday into possibly Monday. So Public Works does not start plowing when the first snowflake falls. They start plowing after there's measurable snow. And they can't do the entire town at one time. They start in certain areas and they will get to you. Also, there'll probably be a point that there'll be salt put down. The salting, because of the very cold temperatures, helps, but does not alleviate slippery spots and ice. It helps, but it does not totally alleviate it. So keep in mind when driving. In reference to the new governor, she did not reappoint the existing DEP commissioner. She has a new commissioner coming that she's put forward, has to be voted on by the Assembly and the Senate. So I feel that's a good news because I just felt that the sitting DEP commissioner was really just not listening to its residents, had his own agenda. So hopefully that changes. I got here right at the time because we had Camden County Mayor's Association reorganized tonight. That was at 6 o'clock at Lucian's. So that's moving forward. Camden County has the largest and strongest Mayor's Association in the state of New Jersey. So a lot of people come to that, a lot of mayors participate, and it's really good to collaborate with the other mayors. There's some mayors that have been there for 50 years. Some have been there for 20 years. So you get to learn a lot from them, and it's a very good open dialogue. And everybody wants to share their knowledge. So it's very important to go to the mayor's meetings. I think one of the things we'll eventually need to come and relook. I think we're going to need to reassess the fees that we charge outside people for using our rec fields. I think that's something that the committee should put on our radar. The cost to maintain these keep going up. The cost to build them keep going up, and we have not raised our fees for quite some time. So I think that's needed to be looked at. We also have, whether you like it or not, the state, the governor at the last minute signed into law about e-bikes. So I think I talked to the chief briefly. We need to relook at our towing ordinance because now not that we have an abundance of e-bikes around here, but you will have e-bikes, and we need to look at allowing that in our towing ordinance, so that the tow company, if they get impounded or whatever, that the tow company is properly compensated. And I also suggested to the chief that we should involve the fire department in the storage of these, because an e-bike has a battery in it, and batteries are a problem at times. So we want to see if we can make some recommendations on how to store these bikes if they're impounded. Also, I attended the environmental commission meeting, and one of the things that like Evesham has a calendar, and it has a lot of different public works suggestions about water, and sewer, environmental information, and they would like to work with the township through their Clean Communities money to maybe come up with a calendar for Waterford. And I think that would be good too, Bob,
Yeah.
for you. So I said I would bring that back to the committee.
And possibly not even a physical one, but certainly it could be put on a website.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, so, that was very good. Let's see. Film Commission, as the state keeps moving towards, the film industry and promoting the film industry, Lionsgate is being built up in North Jersey, Paramount's being built in Bayonne, Netflix is being built in Fort Monmouth, at the old Fort Monmouth. There's been some groundbreaking ceremonies, but the Film Commission still is pushing, hopefully for South Jersey, a independent studio. And as what that means is, the ones I just mentioned, Paramount, Netflix, and that, their studios are built for them. So if Andy Wade wants to go make a film about Waterford, I can't rent space there. There is no space in New Jersey to rent. The independent film industry is, low budget films all the way up to like maybe $5 or $10 million, $15 million. Now you have like Paramount, Netflix, their films are more 100 million, 500 million, in that range. So that's also why the push is for the independent film industry to get involved. And then the way the unions work in the film industry, there's two big circles. There's one for New York, and then there's one for Philadelphia. And those circles touch, and that allows the union members from Philadelphia to come into South Jersey. So the Philadelphia Film Industry Union is very eager for this. And then because the two circles touch, you can also pull union members from New York and North Jersey. So I'll keep you updated on that. Let's see. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you. I have some reports for the seniors. The meetings are on the second and fourth Mondays of each month. The meeting for this coming Monday has been canceled in lieu of the bad weather. The meetings typically start at 12 with lunch and then follow up with a speaker at 1 p.m. Our last meeting, the OEM coordinator, James Jankowski, had given a presentation regarding the senior center as a reception area in times of need, so storms, wildfires. Our biggest issues in this area would be wildfires, but and even weather-related issues, that area acts as a temporary place for residents to go, less than 24 hours. And so he's hoping the seniors can put together a committee to handle that. And also highlighted some of the successes in areas of opportunity from the last time we had to use that as a reception center. Civic Ready, our alert system, if you haven't signed up for it, please do so. I think there's QR codes out in the lobby. And that is it for the seniors. For the library board, our reorg meeting was earlier this month. So that was completed. They have a full board. There's discussions regarding Assembly Bill A3446, which is known as the Freedom to Read Act, regarding continuing education for members of the board. So there's still some confusion there. We're looking to get further information. They also discussed the air conditioning that continues to be kind of a problem for them, so they're looking at potential replacement out of their funds. I have just the dates that we have our meetings. Thank you. I know there's often questions about when our meetings are. This is a weird day. We're the third Wednesday. Usually it's the second Wednesday of the month. So the next meeting is February 11th, March 11th, April 8th, May 13th, June 10th, July 8th, August 12th, September 9th, October 14th. In November, we'll have an odd date again. That'll be a Tuesday, the 10th, and then December 9th. As promised before, we do have some reports from our cannabis committee. So I'm just going to read to you some of the issues that were covered or discussed In previous meetings, we do not have any names at this time, but in previous meetings, the group discussed odor control methods for cannabis operation, including a product from California called Cannabusters, which treats exhaust air outside buildings and eliminates organic molecules. The product has been highly successful in California, significantly reducing odor complaints, and samples of the product were provided. Carbon filtration methods were also reviewed. CRC odor regulations were discussed, including enforcement by the CRC compliance team through inspections and investigation of complaints. Cannabis businesses are required to implement odor mitigation strategies with violations subject to fines, license suspension, or revocation. Specialized HVARC systems tailored to the cannabis industry were noted. The municipality can always place more stringent requirements on the business to ensure compliance. Lastly, licensing was discussed, emphasizing the resolutions of support to not equal a license and highlighting the importance of attracting business and revenue for the town. And that concludes the cannabis meeting that we had, and that's all I have for today. Monthly financial statements. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the December 2025 financial statements as presented?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Bob?
Yes, clerk report, $3,182.55. Clerk bill report, nothing. Construction official report, $26,924. Court report, $8,183.24. Tax collector tax report, $540,136.85. Tax collector utility report, $28,896.82. Tax collector redemption report, $40,004.49. Cannabis tax report, it's quarterly, so it's zero at this point. Vacant and abandoned property, $4,500. Thank you.
Thank you. Voice vote, please.
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Julia?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukus?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag?
Yes.
5-0, motion carries.
Open meeting to the public for agenda items only. I now open the meeting to the public for comments for agenda items only. Please note there is a 5-minute limit for each speaker, and you will need to come up to the microphone. The meeting is now open to the public for agenda items.
Good evening. Good evening. Condo, two quick questions. First of all, congratulations. On resolution 2026-77, on the change order, now, the engineer may have addressed that, but I missed part of it. Does that have anything to do with the lights coming on every night and staying on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the second one is on ordinance 2026-4, land use development, home occupation. Could you expand on that and exactly what the purpose of that is and what it's to accomplish?
Yeah, so at our reorg meeting, there was a mention of the cottage food business licenses, or cottage, allowing cottage food business to be added to our ordinances. That's what that's regarding.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But I brought it up because someone told me it was about in-law suites, and I didn't know what it was. So.
That allows people to, I think it's like, what, $50,000 or something in annual sales to like bake cakes at home and
Yeah.
things like
That's
that.
fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If we have a question about something that was in your report, does that apply here or GM?
Would that apply here? For something in a report? Yeah.
Dawn Kelly, 355 Sapling Way. Sorry, I'm getting confused. So you just mentioned the schedule of the meetings?
Yes.
And the dates?
Yes.
So I know that the meetings were changed to once a month.
Mhm.
And I think that at some point it was stated why they were changed to once a month. Can you explain to me what the purpose of that was, to change them to once a month?
Sure, there's probably a number of reasons. One, it's one date for people to remember. I think it makes it easiest. Attendance is usually very light, as it's kind of an anomaly, attendance that we have lately. But we would have 2 meetings a month, and there would be hardly anyone there. So we got accomplished the same amount of business in the same time. Basically, most nights ending at the same time in 1 meeting per month. And that's basically why.
So the experiences that a couple of us have found is that on the nights that we have come to the meetings, that it's 1 meeting per month, it's actually not easier to remember that it's 1 day. It was easier when it was 2 days per month because we had more opportunity to approach the board. I do understand you're saying that there was less attendance. I do agree with that. However, it was more opportunity for the public to approach you all because it was, sometimes people are working and they can't get there, or they have children and they, they need a babysitter or whatever. But the 2 opportunities to approach the committee and come to the meetings was twice as much of an opportunity as opposed to just the 1 meeting per month. Secondly, it gives more transparency and more opportunity for communication, which you spoke about in your opening message to all of us when you were sworn in, which was really very much appreciated and looked forward to, at least it was by us. And also, it's just very difficult when you only have the 1 meeting, especially when you all have closed session, then you put it in the beginning of the meeting. I understand why. We're all sitting here waiting for you to get through closed session, then you come back, even on nights when you don't have closed session, if it's a heavy agenda because you're smushing everything from 1 month into 1 meeting, or if you have things to give awards for swearing new officers in or things like that, which are wonderful, it's a long meeting. 2 times I can say off the top of my head, the videographer has run so long that the meeting ran past 10 or 10:30 or whatnot, which is a long time. Nobody wants to be here that late. The camera got shut off. He left. So that means the viewers on Comcast, which are not as many as there were before because people stream their TV nowadays. Yes, I understand. I've gone past my 5 minutes. I heard you clear your voice. I apologize. I'll ask the rest of my questions at the end of the meeting. However, I just really would like the board to consider the public is calling for more communication with you all and more transparency, and we get that with 2 meetings. It's 2 chances to talk to you all and hear what's going on in town, not just the 1 big meeting, if you just consider it.
Anyone else? I saw someone else getting up. Oh, yeah. It's okay. Okay. Okay, if that is everything for, we'll close at 7:56 for comments. Applications. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve applications 1 and 2 as presented?
Motion. Second.
Okay. Facility use application number 1, Waterford Township Athletic Association, baseball field use as per application. Waterford Rec Complex, Tapper Field, Field C, Field D, Ritter Complex, Hicks and Babe Ruth Field, March 1st, 2026 through November 26th, 2026, Monday through Friday, 5 to 10 p.m. And again, for same date range, Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And 2, facility use application, Waterford Warriors Athletic Association, Hicks, Babe Ruth, and Tapper Fields, Monday through Friday, 5 to 10, Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 1, and schedule will work around WTAA times and as they're available. Can I have a poll vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Gingulio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukus?
Yes.
Ms. Jones Freitag?
Yes to 1, no to outside organizations without a schedule being provided from our own WTAA.
Motion carries.
Communications, does anyone have communications to share? No? Okay. Discussions, outdoor dining.
Yes, I sent an ordinance down for everybody to review. I didn't get any comments back, so I have no idea if anybody has any questions or changes or revisions. Except I did get a call from Tom, who referred to something that Mr. Cormany had talked about, and that was on outside dining with sidewalks, that we have buffers to protect the people if they're in the right of way. In my opinion, I don't think this ordinance is quite ready yet. I think we need to make a fine-tune on the ordinance, send it back down to everybody to take a look at. But as we know, outside dining is now the law. The governor signed that at the end of 2024, and we now have some people that are interested in having outdoor dining, probably starting in the spring. So we'd like to get this ordinance in place to put some controls on that, so that we have at least protection for the residents, customers, and a pattern that we're going to schedule as to what they have to meet for certain requirements to have outside dining and alcohol at the same time. The governor, in his signing of that legislation, all they have to do for having outside drinking is to get a permit from the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission. We have no control over that, but we do have control over setting some conditions on how they operate in open spaces. So I'll make some fine tunes to it. Please provide any comments that you may have, and I'll present it again at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, we're going to talk to the chief about facilities that are serving alcohol out on the sidewalk. Particularly in this case, we were referring to the brewery on Echo Avenue. We both felt that sidewalk area has to be maintained, which in talking to people from the county, I can't remember whether it was 4 feet or 6 feet that they wanted to maintain from the curb line. And then so that people aren't wandering from the area where they're consuming alcohol out into the street or out into the public at public events. Dan thought, and I thought both of these were very good ideas. Have it fenced, and then on the outside of the fence, there should be bollards, which would prevent any kind of vehicular traffic from crashing into those areas, possibly hurting the patrons there. But again, as the solicitor said, I think this needs to be talked about a little bit more. We need to fine tune it a little bit more.
I agree. Would that fencing impede people walking down the sidewalk?
No, it would all have to be 4 to 6 feet off the curb.
Right.
Okay.
The sidewalk has to be maintained as open.
Okay.
Right, even if you have tables there, there has to be room for the people that use the sidewalk.
Perfect. Ed?
So just a couple quick comments on that. One, so the ABC is going to require them to have that enclosed.
No.
It's a,
No,
No, we are.
well, we're requiring it, but it's also required by the ABC. They can't consume alcohol on that sidewalk without it being behind some type of
The
chain.
ABC will issue a permit. Anybody who wants to serve alcohol outside has to get a permit from the ABC. There are some controls that they put in, but they didn't put in a control like we're talking about.
Not as deep, but there is some type of
Right, there's,
enclosure, so we should
Right.
be with that.
yeah,
It's-
the
I
alcoholic
think,
beverage license
nothing
only
like what we're
applies.
proposing.
I think there was something in there about a tent structure too. That's something that we should consider if we want to see like
Well,
Yeah,
tents out there or not,
well,
or if they're
I
temporary.
think what you have to consider is that the legislation and the infinite wisdom of the legislators indicated that in the law, they're allowed to have tents, canopies, and all that sort of thing. What we should control is that they can have that in the outdoor space if it's behind their establishment, if they have a place there. On the sidewalk, I think we should limit that to umbrellas, tables, and chairs.
Right, I agree. Yeah, that was my only other comment.
Any other comments on that, Bernard? Okay, meeting, online viewing access. I think there'll be some updates maybe from Dawn, but I can say that I've learned that our internet reception here isn't so good in this particular room and does not always allow for clean, for someone to view. If we're doing the Zoom, it has a lot of interruptions. So we're looking at other options, which Dawn, do you have some?
Yes,
ideas on?
so I sat with our IT person today, and we looked into making a YouTube channel. So we get the recordings emailed to us, usually within 48 hours after the meeting. And we went over how we can start setting it up. Like, I actually read on Facebook, I didn't realize that YouTube actually does the closed captioning for us. We don't have to do that. So if we have the video recording, we can go on and we can upload it to YouTube. Mr. Mangold showed me how we can make it so that like it can't be commented on or anything. It's just there for viewing. It's not there for people to write comments on and everything. I mean, I'm sure people can share it on other avenues, but obviously we have to talk with the solicitor about it to see if he thinks that's a good idea. But our IT director and Chief Cormany, we discussed it and thought it was a nice idea to try.
We talked about it in depth. What we think it'll become is a library of all the meetings we ever have. It'll just be there indefinitely for anybody to go on and get, rather than do an open request and have to go through that process. It's operable anyway. So why not just put it up, let the public have access to it. It will usually be up in, what, a day or two?
Within 48 hours, usually, yeah.
Within 48 hours?
Most of the time, within the next day, sometimes 2 days, but,
Yep.
yeah. So it wouldn't be immediate, you know, you wouldn't be able to go home tonight and watch it, but you'd be able to go home in a couple of days and watch it, which I think that's a nice option. And again, the closed captioning was something I never considered, and I think that's great for our audience members who need that, which if we did it via Zoom, they would never get.
We thought it was a good happy medium.
Yeah.
And while we're on that subject, And I heard Mrs. Kelly say there were some meetings where the videographer, he's here till 9 o'clock, and he will be here tonight till 9 o'clock. Going forward, we would need to consider the cost of it, but if the committee so desires, I could talk with the company that he works for and see what it would cost to get him to stay to the end of the meeting per hour. And maybe we could work that out with them, and he could be here until the end of every meeting if you want to do that.
I think it's fine. It's an easy lift.
If I'm not mistaken, to your point about the second meeting, I don't believe the second meeting each month was televised, am I correct?
It wasn't. That's one of the reasons we went to one.
And that's part of the reason why we went to one, because we were getting a lot of complaints that nobody knew what was going on at the second meeting because it wasn't televised. That was part of the reason for switching to just one meeting.
So if everyone's okay with that, I'll look into that and get that pricing and see if it's cost effective.
So I'll post on Facebook once it's live. I just have to get it set and everything, and then once we get this recording, I will set it up and share it on Facebook and our website, and I look forward to feedback on it also, so hopefully positive.
Do we need to do a vote on that, or no? Okay. Third topic, 250th anniversary of American celebrations.
We talked about it earlier, and I mentioned it in my report. I will talk to Louise, but I'm thinking, after thinking about our conversation, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think this would be something better for the township to handle than civic and events.
What do you
The
propose?
200, well, we put something together. I mean, she's gonna be doing Memorial Day, which is literally a month before this.
That's the Legion, actually, yeah.
Right, but she has a big part in what goes on
Sure.
on Memorial Day. And I don't know what she has that follows the 4th of July, but she's got a lot on her plate already with what she does all year. So, I mean, you and I have done several events and they've worked out fine. I'm thinking that we should maybe do it as a township activity. I think it would be received better by the public as a township activity. If she wants to be involved in it, by all means.
Yeah, I would hope for involvement from Louise, WTCA, and then also the American Legion. Make it as big of a block party / celebration.
If you're gonna do something that's 250 years, you'd want PD, fire department. I'm thinking maybe even the athletic association to some degree, and definitely need the Legion. Those kind of people, but it's something I'm willing to work on. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know, I know your time is valued.
Like the mayor said, we could all work together, I think with Louise, with everybody, and just kind of,
That's fine.
brainstorm
We'll
on it.
put something together and hopefully we can report on it next month.
Okay, excellent. Anything else for discussion that was not thought of ahead of time? No, old business, we have none. New business includes resolutions and ordinances, consent agenda resolution. Note, consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in a single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. Any item can be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately at the request of any committee member. Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt resolutions 2026-69 through 2026-78?
Motion.
Resolution 2026-69, resolution authorizing for 100% total disabled veteran on block 1606, lot 11. Resolution 2026-70, resolution of the Township of Waterford establishing salary increases for non-collective bargaining agreement unit employees. Resolution 2026-71, resolution of the Township of Waterford authorizing a tax sale. Resolution 2026-72, resolution of the Township of Waterford authorizing cancellation of taxes $5 over and under. Resolution 2026-73, resolution of the Township of Waterford accepting a tax collector's annual statement of uncollectible taxes. Resolution 2026-74, resolution of the Township of Waterford authorizing emergency temporary appropriations. Resolution 2026-75, resolution of the Township of Waterford awarding bid 25-08 emergency contractor bid. Resolution 2026-76, resolution appointing a member to the Township of Waterford Recreation Advisory Committee, Colin Matthews. Resolution 2026-77, resolution authorizing change order 1 to Musco Lighting for Waterford Recreation Complex Hockey and Pickleball Project, increase of $3,949. And resolution 2026-78, resolution authorizing disposal of surplus property by auction on Dove Deals. Can I have a poll vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Conjulia?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes to all, but I'm going to abstain on 78.
Mr. Yukis?
Yes on all, but I'm abstaining to 76.
And Mayor Jones Freitag.
Yes.
Motion carried on all.
Introduction of ordinances. Can I please have a motion and a second to introduce ordinance 2026-4 with public hearing and second reading on February 11, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
Ordinance 2026-4, an ordinance of the Township of Waterford amending Chapter 176 of the Township Code captioned Land Use, Development, and Zoning Legislation concerning home occupations. Can I have a poll vote, please?
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Gingilio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukis?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Payment of bills. Can I have a motion and a second to pay the bills?
Motion. Second.
Bob?
Current fund, $1,613,047.40. Utility fund, $4,002.34. Capital fund, $2,145. Rent fund, $27.35. Trust fund, $131.12.
Poll vote, please.
Mr. Doney?
Yes.
Mr. Gingilio?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Yukis?
Yes.
Mayor Jones Freitag.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Open meeting to the public. I will now open meeting to the public for comments. Please note that there is a 5-minute limit for each speaker, opening at 8:10.
Hi, Carol Zito, 1246 Middle Avenue, Waterford. Mayor, you said you had a cannabis meeting and you talked about the minutes. When was that?
We didn't have a meeting. These are minutes from prior meetings.
Prior to that?
Yes.
So you're not having any more?
Not until we have a complex solicitor.
Okay, so you're not doing anything until you have the solicitor.
Without advisement of the solicitor, that is correct.
So shouldn't it be something to stop everything until you have a solicitor, since you're not even going to have a meeting?
So we can't, so we stopped letters of support on this end. We can't stop anything on the planning board if that's what you're referring to. We can't hold back. It's not something we can do.
Why is that?
They're not out of compliance with the current ordinances as they are. They're not out of compliance, so we can't stop them from doing something they're not currently out of compliance with.
Even though you put a hold on that part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I had the same question myself, actually, and that's how I got the answer, because I had the same question.
Okay. All right, also, when I was researching everything, I'm sure you all were aware that if you opted out of cannabis from the beginning, then the state would come in and refer the areas where they would go. You wouldn't have a choice. So right on the state stuff, it says that they would refer them to industrial areas, not AG. So, but because you opted in, that's where the AG thing came into. So it really would have been to the best interest to opt out until you really researched everything, and then opted in when you thought it was a benefit. But once you opt in, you can't opt out. You can only change ordinances. And also, did anyone on the board personally, the committee, personally look into the ordinances that were changed 12 times?
Yeah, I think at every step when they were changed, they were looked at.
But were they looked at by the conflict attorney that Tom brought to the board?
Tom didn't bring her to the board.
Well, we know you did, because if you look
Tom
at the
did
minutes.
not bring her to the board.
Okay, well, the minutes then are wrong for planning board and township then. Let that be known that he didn't nominate her. So they should be edited. Also, the letters of support. They were inconsistent how they were meted out. There was negligence. With the zoning officer, I guess, is he the one that goes out and checks the property and then comes back to the committee?
Yes.
And then tells you it's okay?
Yes.
So then you vote on that letter of support. That's how it works?
Yes.
Because when you go through all these letters of support, example, like the rec house, okay? They changed multiple places, you went along with them. But now where they're at, the environment has changed. A development is there, a playground, right next door to where they're going to go. So according to your ordinance, you have to be, so many feet from all these things. So how now can they open next to a development and a playground?
I believe they had their approvals first.
Right, they were there first.
They were there
So,
first.
because they were there first,
They're in compliance.
the playground and the development chose to be next to them, not them next to them.
But they didn't own it at the time, the township owned the property, so they didn't even have knowledge of it.
Well, it was in transition.
Yeah, so they didn't even get
Yeah.
notified, Conifer, because I asked that before to my board. So it's okay then to open up a cannabis, all the licenses they have next to a development and a playground, that's gonna be okay.
No, it's not okay. They went to the planning board, they had to get a use variance, and the planning board granted them the use variance.
It was done before they were built, the first one, they just came for an extension, I know.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, they just came for another extension. And then the other property, that's the Angelino property. They got their letter of support January of 2023. And then in September of 2023, the Ewan McNally property got their letter of support right next door. So if the zoning officer went out in January of 2023 and told you he was good, how did he go out in September 23 with the very next property and say that was okay? Very,
Because there's no license there yet.
Yes.
They can't be next to a licensed, so there's no license at either one of those properties, there's just resolutions of support.
so you can
Embrace the
put a
finishes
letter of
then. Yes.
support, like if there's 6 properties on a
Yeah.
box, all 6 can get it and it's first come, first served.
Yeah, but then nobody else would be able to after that.
That's what it says.
There seems to be a flaw in this system, but okay. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, John Ogle, 1715 Victoria Lane. I'm also up here speaking with Terry Garvey, 1201 Middle. Terry's not here tonight. He and I had been chatting, so I don't know how that works with time, but I'll be brief.
5 minutes still.
That's okay, I don't need 5 minutes. I agree with what Carol had said. I got a lot of the same questions, so I won't continue with that. But it does sound awfully convoluted here, folks. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But let's go to these buffer zones. I understand that essentially it's a sand wedge on 50 yards, from a residential property. And yet 500 feet if it's up to a daycare or a church or something to that effect. So you're telling me that somebody that has 3 kids in their house, they're not protected like the daycare is? They're closer, and that's okay with you folks? Isn't that discriminatory to the landowner, the property owner, and by the way, the voter? I mean, that makes 0 sense. Who came up with the buffer lines? And what is their expertise? Where did they come up with that?
Came up initially when the ordinances were introduced, right? Went through a process where people reviewed what they thought would be acceptable. There were a number of people involved in that. I couldn't identify them for you right now. The information was provided to me. I prepared the ordinances. It's 250 feet for a residence, not 50, 250 feet for a residence.
Feet, not yards.
Not yards. And 500 for the daycare.
Why the difference?
That was the recommendation.
But that's my question. The recommendations from whom?
The people that were on the committee that...
The people?
I don't remember who that was. It goes back a few years.
I mean, some sort of experts on this subject, or what?
When that all started, there were no experts on the subject.
Isn't that exactly the point?
It is the point. That's why they're talking about making changes to the ordinance.
So we're going to try to make changes to the ordinance?
When the conflict attorney gets appointed, that's the whole point. To discuss those issues and to see if they recommend changes.
So can we request changes to the ordinance to expand those buffers or to remove them from the AG areas and any residential areas and move them all to a commercial area?
Anyone can make a request to this committee and they can take it under consideration.
How do we do that?
Email.
You're doing it right now.
Or you can email it.
Yeah, or email.
Okay. Consider that a request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne Vasquez, 1714 Victoria Lane. If I could hand these to you for the minute. Thank you. Susie. First, congratulations. The letter on top is just respectfully urging all of you to please amend and repeal the ordinance that everyone's talking about, 2024-7. As it's written, it allows the cannabis operations in agricultural, residential areas, and near sensitive locations. I don't think I need to list them, I can list them multiple times, right? These are definitely industry standard. They don't belong, we all know that. And as you can tell, I'm here to ask that we put this to a halt until we can figure out what we want for our township. I don't know if you're aware, but many of us have done our research. We've talked to other towns. A resident that is close by to me actually worked with somebody in Hamilton, and you have multiple studies in your possession right now. And I'm going off script, so bear with me. The first study is the hidden costs of growing pot. It's a long study, but I'm going to point out that research shows that the indoor cannabis growing is a surprising amount of greenhouse gases. I know you mentioned they have something that they can run it through. I don't believe it. You look at every state from west to east, you're going to have the residents all telling you the same thing. You live next to it, you smell it. This study that I'm referencing is peer reviewed, which is one of your highest articles that can be published, meaning there's a lot of executives involved. The indoor cannabis farming generates extremely high GHG emissions. The emissions are comparable to those that are of coal mining. Are we going back in time? Cannabis warehouse growers are heavily on the lighting, the heating, the HVAC systems, dehumidifications. You look at a night like tonight, your heater's going to be running 24/7. You talked about, being prepared. They're prepared because guess what? These places are going to die. Then you have the humid climates, and that's all summer long. Where are our kids during the summer? Hopefully outside playing, right? They're going to be smelling it. You go to the next study, and I'm probably going to run out, so I'll be back. Why are local zoning matters to the 7 significant side effects? You can read it. I've done summaries for you. You don't have to read the entire article. I pulled out the important parts. The main ones are your pesticides. There's no EPA approval. We know that. We know that it can contaminate multiple areas. It can create a liability for Waterford Township. And then you also have the cleanup costs. Who's responsible for them? We have a situation right here on the Whitehorse Pike, right? Andy gave us a whole rundown of the Whitehorse Pike situation. Are we setting ourselves up for more? I can't stress enough, as being a resident for as long as I've lived here, and to know that we have an ordinance in place that opens us up for so much reliability. I mean, seriously, if you look at our ordinance and then you look at the surrounding towns, you really need to sit down with Hamilton. Hamilton just revised theirs. Folsom, December 22nd, just revised them. We need to get on the horn immediately and talk to our neighboring towns. I'll end this because I'm gonna get upset. Hamilton just went out this month and closed out their marijuana presentations to all 7th grade students. Marijuana is prohibited in Hamilton. What do you think the Hamilton residents think of us? I'll leave that said. Because I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be sending my kids from Hamilton to a Waterford resident if they lived next to a pot.
Hi, how are you? My name is Michelle Chicano. I reside at 1657 Conrad Avenue. A resident named Nancy Sarafoli from 1201 Middle Avenue asked me to present this to the board and to read this for her. So this is from Nancy. Congratulations to the newly appointed Mayor Jones Freitag, Deputy Mayor Ward, and newly elected Committeeman Yukas. We hope this heralds a new beginning for Waterford Township. I am raising. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, I gave you the wrong one, didn't I? That's mine. Thank you. I will do this. There we go. I am raising a concern expressed by the community regarding perceptions of bias among committee and board members. Given that some have distinct interests, including engaging in grow and manufacture leasebacks and/or investor/in-kind relationships. We have received council's advice that the existing ordinances should be challenged. This begins with the opt-in vote by those very same committee members who have an interest. It is our understanding that there is considerable conflict arising from these relationships, and that any ordinances referencing or concerning cannabis should be reviewed along with the resulting resolutions/letters of support. We are calling for the cessation of any current actions until an independent and thorough review can be performed with a member of the public present. Additionally, any investor interest held by the members of the Township Committee and any members serving on all boards should be made public for transparency. Thank you. Okay. This is me more of a personal level rather than all the business that Nancy has looked into. So I said, my name is Michelle Chicano. My husband and I, James and I, reside at 1657 Conrad Avenue with our 2 sons. We also own the home at 1146 Old Whitehorse Pike and the business known as Pope's Gardens. And yes, I'm going to do a shameful plug. Sorry, we're still open, so if everybody can come and visit us. People think we're closed. Talk about needing small business in this town. We are still there, and we are trying to. We've had like little fall festivals, spring festivals. We're trying to have the community come together and try to do different things. But as everybody knows, things cost money. So, but we're still here. And our daughter, her children, and my mother reside at that residence. This time when addressing you, I wanted to write my thoughts down in an effort to try to remove some of my emotions when speaking to you all. But after all, what's more emotional or important than family, our homes, our children, and our well-being, and our community? Upon hearing the news that a cannabis farm may be in the works behind both of our respective homes and near the school my grandchildren may be attending, it was more than a bit unsettling and upsetting. That was our first knee-jerk reaction. The odor being the big concern, as we find that odor personally very intrusive. Then came the other questions. How will this affect traffic patterns on these small side roads? How often will there be deliveries and pickups of the product? Will it be loud? Will it be brightly lit? How big will the facility be? Are we talking the same size as Pure Leaf? Are they greenhouses? Who are the investors? What is the background experience of these investors? Will they require 24 hours, 7 days a week armed guards? Will criminals try to rob them? It's a dark road. Will they try to come and be lurking around, more so than not? How will it affect our home values? Will we be able to sell these homes in the future without losing our shirts? I believe all these questions are more than fair to ask the people who represent us and make these decisions. And I don't believe that any resident with a concern about this is being unreasonable, or a Karen, as we're called. I've been told owning Pope's Gardens, some of the supporters of this have attacked me on social media about, oh, well, Pope's Gardens is next to a school. What are you using for your fertilizer? The same thing that Mr. Pope used for 35 years. We have our water inspected, and I'm sure that you will have to as well. But there's nothing in that's going to be harmful to any child as far as growing our little pansies. So, we understand that the township needs revenue. That's clear. You can drive down the Whitehorse Pike, and there's nothing. This town's dying. I get it. I do. So I'm not sitting here as a resident telling you I'm against it entirely. But I think the biggest thing is where you're proposing to put one of them one is, and to my knowledge, I don't know where the other ones are going, this is the first I've heard of these, you want to put it near the school? Near these kids? These kids are already growing up in such a screwed up world. They really are. And they're going to have to smell weed. And then our cops go in and they say, don't do drugs, dare cops, don't do drugs. But you can go smell it and you go play. Get used to it, kids. It's 2026, people say to me. Cannabis is the way of the world. I know it's a lot of money. And I know we need money. Can't we find another place that doesn't affect so many people? I drove over to Curaleaf because this affects me greatly. I'm right there, seriously. I don't care what. And Curaleaf, is that correct me? Is that one of the largest companies in this
From what I
country?
understand, yeah.
You ever been back there?
Not the Curaleaf. I went to the one down at Egg Harbor.
So there was a few different nice smells. The first time we went, it was like a sulfur. And that's the chemicals, 3 main chemicals burning off that you're smelling. Okay, and then the next one was just randomly, and that was just straight up weed and stuff. I mean, you pick your poison there. So I'm gonna wrap it up. And that's another thing about no limits. We own Pope's Gardens, 10 acres. So you're telling me that I can come and I wouldn't do this, Matt, I wouldn't do this. But you're telling me I'm 1,500 feet away from Waterford Elementary. So I can come if I had the backers, the investors, and I came in and apply for a license. And there's gonna be one on Middle, and there's gonna be one, I could still get one? I'm curious.
I mean, at the moment, if it's in compliance, doesn't mean we love it.
And so, okay, and that's the thing, don't we see a problem with that? Like, and literally, if I want to just listen, there's a lot more money in cannabis than there is in pansies. So if I wanted to do that, they're telling me I can. And there's Pope's, there's the brand new hockey rink, beautiful school. And I'm gonna put a pot farm there. I think people would set it on fire. That's all. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Okay.
Good evening, board. I'm Apostle John T. Williams III, from the Elijah Jew Center Ministry. We've been here since 2014 with the church that never sleeps. Now, here's the issues that we're looking at. I was born in Camden, New Jersey. And I was born in Camden, New Jersey, when Camden was a great place. Campbell Soup was there and all that. But they made the one bad move. Now, I know, I'm also a business developer, you don't know that. And we also have a TV network here called KDI TV. It's on Roku and Google. Let me say this to you. I'm up every night praying for Waterford with the ministry. We're up. But we're up every day, every night, when we see that they use Waterford as a dumping ground. They send the folks from all different areas, all kind of drug issues and things. And they're there. The cops, the police, I say, right? All night long, going after this. Now let me tell you what will happen. If you put a field of weed in Waterford, because Waterford is great, but you're about to make a bad mistake. They will rob the field. They will go in there and start cutting it down. There will be weapons that they're not even carrying. I know, I've lived through it in Camden, New Jersey. Now, you can, think that it's going to make money for you. It's not. They don't care about Waterford. They don't live here. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the folks that put their blood, sweat, and tears here. Sally Starr lived here at one time. There's some great things here. I came here because I love Waterford. I don't talk to everybody, but I love Waterford. Waterford is a great place. And if we want to change that, we have to get back and take care of our businesses and the people that's there. Know what's wrong. None of y'all knew there's a TV network. KDI TV is on Roku. You didn't know. But what I'm telling you is, if you allow this to go, listen, I'm not judging anybody, smoke weed or drink with it, that's your business. Your personal preference is your business. But when you bring it to a point on a large scale, you are opening yourself up for a lot of trouble. We gotta find something different to do. They're coming in with the big pockets. They're taking these listen to the businesses. You can't even get a good spot. Because these folks that don't belong here is taking over this township. We have to stop this. Now, you can vote, you can whatever you do. I'm not a politician. But I'm someone who loves Waterford. I pray for this place, and I come here every day. We leave at 3 o'clock every morning. We're there when they're breaking into the Dollar General. We're there when folks is walking down the street and stuff is going crazy. And another thing, too, stop talking about the police. I'm out there, I'm with them every day. They work hard. They need more money. They need more police. They need more weapons. Because there's crazy stuff going on out here. While y'all sleeping, these people and us, we're awake. We're there every day. If you come by and go across the Dollar General, we're there. People say, oh, it's a cult, they're doing this. No, we're guarding this corridor because there's been people that's been attempted rape. There's been people that's left behind. See, got stuck down here and they were high. They were high. So I'm just saying, listen, let's find something else better to do. If I'm not trying to stop a businessman if he wants to have his thing, because a bar and a cannabis place, man, about the same. Matter of fact, alcohol is more addictive than heroin. Look it up. But we cannot give over our lands and our neighborhoods to these folks growing this at a large scale. Unless now, of course, if you want to go and get some high weapon stuff and get some armored stuff for our police officers and stuff, that's what you're going to need to do. I've seen it. I have seen this. I grew up in this. No, this is all I'm saying. If we want Waterford, congratulations, man. Love you guys. Do what you got to do for you. But we need to make a stand for once. We need to make a stand faith-based. We need to make a stand people. We need to make a stand. We can't sit here and complain and fight one another because they don't care. They're leaving at the end of the day. We live here. We have to take care of us. Nobody else. That's all I have to say now. We have to take care of Waterford. No one else but here.
All right, everybody's afraid of following that.
5 minutes.
Yield to the gentleman. How many warehouses are being built over in the warehouse?
Well, there's one now, there's another one proposed.
How many are approved?
The 1 million square feet is approved.
Okay, we have one building.
Right,
One
it's
building is
around
under construction, is
280,000.
266. The balance will be in the second building.
So there is a second building.
Yeah. It's approved, yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's approved, it hasn't started construction.
So it's 3 times the size of the one
Correct.
that's approved. Okay. The previous Mayor Dunning, had twice said we're going to have a lot of information tonight from the marijuana commission. We didn't get a whole lot of information tonight.
That's the information I had, it's condensed. I'm
It
sure
was
they meant a lot.
5
way more.
sentences, I mean,
That's what I had.
I'm sorry?
That's what I had. That it's condensed. It's not going to be as long as the meetings themselves are, as the condensed summary of, that's why it's a summary.
It was like 5 sentences, it was really amazing. How long was the last meeting?
I'm not part of the cannabis committee, so I have no idea how long it was. There's not minutes kept, so that's just, again, a summary of items they discussed.
All right, has any residents been appointed? Are we going to have any residents be appointed?
We're not discussing anything with it until we have a conflict attorney. So there's been nothing, no change. So no change, nothing has happened at all until we have a conflict attorney.
Okay, this, like I said, the last 2 meetings, we were told,
Well, it takes time.
we're good. Well, that's what I said 2 meetings ago, and I was told that we would have a big report in January. It's January.
I gave the report that I had.
It was only, I couldn't even hear it, but it was only a couple sentences. And I had asked you again about putting residents on. Is all 5 members actual residents of Waterford Township?
One is not,
Okay,
but they are employed in town, so.
so all 5 are basically employed there.
All 5 represent our township.
So none of them are actual just plain residents.
I'm on it, and I'm a resident.
Everyone
But
who's
you're
not
also
here is a
paid.
resident.
I'm also deputy mayor this year, but I'm
But
a
you're
resident.
paid, you're part of the committee, so you're giving your own, like, your own opinion to your own self that you're voting. When I say resident, I mean somebody that's not affiliated with the town other than we live here.
Well, I can tell you, I take into consideration, I think every board member that lives, that's elected here, we don't just say, all right, we're not a resident no more, we're now an elected robot.
But I'm
I'm not a robot.
I'm asking to have residents. I was on the committee for the school board as just a resident. So they had all the different people that were involved, and they had a couple residents. But do we have any idea when we're gonna get some more information?
When we close out the RFP for the conflict solicitor.
Do we know when that's gonna happen? I mean,
What's next?
It is, I believe it's February.
Third.
February 3rd is when it's due. So that gives committee time to review the RFPs that have been submitted, and then we can award the RFP at the next meeting if the committee desires.
how many did you get so far?
They're not open until.
We can't open anything with the RFPs until the day that it's
Well, I
due.
mean, like, how do you get it? Does somebody send you an email?
No, it has to be hard copies of the RFP. It's on our website, under RFPs.
So they would send you a letter?
No, it's a whole big packet of
Well,
what needs to
but
be.
you, like,
they have to
there's
come
gonna
in.
be a pile where those
Yes.
letters are.
Correct.
Is there more than one?
I don't know. It's not the date yet, so I don't know how many we're going to get.
Have we got any yet?
I'm not sure. It just went out last week. I don't believe we have any right
Okay.
now.
It only went out on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm, like, we were promised all this back in December, and it's now the middle of
Well,
January.
you have to understand that our last solicitor's term ended on New Year's Eve. And then we have reorg on January 5th. And this is the first meeting of the year where we're officially doing business outside of reorg. So there has not been an opportunity to do that. We made it known at the reorg that we're having RFP. We have it. It's gonna end February 3rd, and then we can move from that forward point. We can't make it happen any quicker.
I thought we were told in December.
So they chose to make a change to the solicitor that was
Yes.
handling this, which did cause a delay, but it's a new set of eyes on this. So that's why there's a delay involved in this, and you're not gonna meet without having a conflict solicitor in place. It doesn't make sense.
It just seems like delay after delay after
It
delay.
seems that way, but because we're working through things, and it may seem that way, it's not intended to, we're not trying to make the hurdle or make it more difficult. This is just the way it is, unfortunately.
Okay. Do you think we'll have anything by March, maybe?
I hope so. I hope so.
Just
We'll
I
have-
hope so?
Yes, I hope so. We have a conflict solicitor, and I hope that we have something more to say. It takes time. If we rush through it, bad decisions are made. So we have to give the due time that it needs.
Well, we've already made some bad decisions with it.
Which
No
is why we
limit.
have to make good decisions going forward.
Well, right now, we're no limit, and we're still going crazy with the no limit.
Can't change it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Alexa Farinelli, and I live at 1732 Conrad Avenue. I want to be clear at the outset, I'm not opposed to cannabis as a legal industry. My concern is where certain types of cannabis operations are located, particularly high-intensity indoor grow facilities. Waterford is a residential community with young families, children, and residents of reproductive age. We also have schools, youth sporting fields, and neighborhoods where people reasonably expect a higher level of environmental protection. Fertility, pregnancy, and early childhood development are uniquely sensitive to environmental conditions. This is well established in public health science. Long-term, low-level exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals, air pollutants, and biological contaminants can affect hormonal balance, reproductive function, and pregnancy outcomes, even when those exposures fall below levels that cause immediate illness. There is no claim being made tonight that cannabis cultivation automatically causes fertility problems. The issue is that indoor grow facilities are industrial scale operations involving chemical inputs, high humidity environments, air exhaust systems, and wastewater management, all of which introduce environmental variables that are fundamentally incompatible with residential and child-centered areas. The concern is not the plan, it is the inputs, emissions, and waste streams required to operate this type of facility. Indoor cultivation commonly involves pesticides, fungicides, fertilizers, growth regulators, and industrial cleaning agents. Some of these substances are known or suspected endocrine disruptors. Fertility risks arise not from a single exposure, but from cumulative chronic exposure over years. Precisely the type of exposure scenario created when industrial operations are placed near homes, schools, and athletic fields. Even when facilities are indoors, air is exhausted into the surrounding environment. Families living nearby do not control filtration systems, maintenance practices, or operational failures, yet they will bear the consequences if safeguards fail. Water and wastewater concerns are equally important. Any activity that introduces nutrients, chemicals, or byproducts into soil or water presents a heightened risk when located near residential wells, municipal water infrastructure, or areas where children regularly play. High humidity grow environments also raise legitimate concerns about mold and biological contaminants. Mold spores are small, airborne, and capable of traveling beyond a building envelope if controls are compromised. While respiratory effects are well known, emerging research shows chronic inflammatory responses can also affect pregnancy and reproductive health. For these reasons, I am asking the council to focus not on whether cannabis is legal, but on whether this type of industrial production belongs in or near residential zones. Many municipalities in New Jersey and across the country have made a clear distinction between commercial or light industrial zones where high-impact operations are expected and residential and child-adjacent areas where precaution is appropriate. Because of the fertility, pregnancy, and long-term health concerns I have outlined, I am respectfully requesting that the township adopt an ordinance prohibiting cannabis grow facilities in residential zones and within a defined buffer of home, schools, and recreational fields. This approach does not ban cannabis to places where it belongs in appropriately zoned areas that minimize risk and conflict. Protecting families, children, and future generations is one of the most basic responsibilities of local government. Zoning exists precisely for this purpose. I'm speaking to you tonight as a new mother of a 7-month-old girl who has struggled with fertility issues herself and is someone who hopes to be a mother to more children again someday soon. I'm speaking to you as a neighbor of young families, and I'm speaking to you as the president and a co-founder of the ACO football and cheerleading program who utilize the Waterford complex for young adults and children for most of their return football season. Thank you for your time, and I respectfully request that my written submission be entered into the public record.
Good evening, Jesse and testimony, 641 Hesseltown Road. Change subject a little bit. I wanted to know if it was possible to possibly reopen the discussion, the trash, the dump, the license that we need. Just seems to be an extra layer of bureaucracy that I feel like the other townships have kind of already figured out. For instance, you go to Winslow, you show your driver's license to prove that you live there, and then you sign your name on the sign-up sheet. So now there's a record that you were there, that you live in the township. I understand contractors were using it and abusing it. People were cleaning out their garages. All that stuff doesn't necessarily get corrected by that license. No different than me doing the license, my driver's license, or whatever proof that you live in the town. And then, like I said, just filling out that sheet. The dump's open 47, 48 weeks of the year. You're not talking about a massive amount of paperwork. And again, you go there, I used the dump twice. 2003, my card, I lost it, or you couldn't read it. I think it was from sitting in my wallet and not using it. So that was a problem. A week ago, January, it wasn't up, it was out now, it was out of date, right? Because you got to get a known every year. Right, didn't get there, whatever. Again, I understand why there's the license. You can only go 6 times. All of that seems to be answered with just the simple, you pull up, there's always a gentleman there anyway, because they got to stamp the license anyway. So they're doing, you got to trust that they're either going to stamp it, and they're not stamping it for a friend, because that would be, well, if we did a sign-in sheet, they don't let the people, we'll tell the people don't sign it in. Well, it's the same thing about stamping it. So I just feel like maybe that level of bureaucracy, if we could just, go back to that and say, hey, is that actually needed, or can we just go back to, let's just do a sign-in sheet, license, it seems like it answers it all. Ever since all those policies are in place for new trash, there's more trash in the woods. Is it a correlation? I don't know. 100 yards past Town Road, there's a mattress, been there for 2 months. Unless it got picked up Monday or Tuesday. If you guys have any pull at the county, I understand it's a county road, you guys can't touch it. Maybe, make a phone call to your buddies at the county. I will certainly, if you want to have somebody meet me there with a truck, I'll pick it up with my tractor and throw it in your truck for you. If I'm allowed to do that, I'll do that for you. It's a little bit of a slap in the face, because it's like I feel like there's an issue with the license. Again, it sounds silly, but no, just go to the township, get your car in every year. I know, but that extra level of bureaucracy, I feel like is kind of getting in the way. So that's all. Just throwing that out there, because I live where the woods are. We see the trash. You know what I mean? So that's all. That's what we're looking at.
Just real quick.
Yes, sir.
Part of the reason why we have you come in and get the card is so we can stamp it, so we know it's 6 times,
right,
or whatever, how many times we allow. Versus if it was a sign-in sheet, then we wouldn't know how many times you come in.
Right. My answer to, again, there's always gonna be an answer and rebuttal.
That's
Just
why
because
we
the other
give it
townships
that.
have done it, and I grew up Punk Ranch Road in Winslow. My uncle worked there all the time. Small town. The guys who's working there, there's only a few guys in rotation. They know who the problem is. They know the contractors that are a problem. They know the homeowners that are abusing it. I'm not saying remove the 6 times. I'm just saying that signage is there. Contractor comes in, man, you're abusing this system. Now, you were here 4 times, 5, yeah. It's not a lot of paperwork.
Right.
Somebody take 30 seconds, you go through it, yeah, his name's been here 6 times, yeah, they're done. Let them know they can't come back no more. I just feel like that extra level is not worth, you know what I'm saying? You're not getting the reward out of having an extra layer.
It's something we can look at, however, though, I will say this, I would like to see once the construction office goes online, if we could also do that online, where they could register. I don't know how we could do that.
Well, SDL, I don't know if they have a portal for that, but we could talk to Mike Mangold about writing some software maybe.
So,
That probably
so at
wouldn't be that
least
big
it
of a
would
lift.
be,
We could probably
you
do
know,
something
online.
Yeah.
That
Right.
we may be able to.
It would. I
Could be more.
Yeah, we
still
may be able
think
to.
people are still not going to want to do that. You know what I mean? You guys deal with the public all the time. I'm not telling you anything new. You're still going to have that person who doesn't pay attention to anything and says, "Oh, I'm going to use the dump. I haven't used it in 4 years." And they get in their truck one day and they go, "No, need a license." Whereas you just signed that sheet. And again, it's not like it's 1,000 pieces of paper that somebody would have to wade through.
Got 1 minute.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just like I said, and then if that mattress, if we could call the county.
Hey, sir, do you have an issue with maybe putting a mattress bag around that mattress and we'll pick it up?
It is big.
I'm just
Dirty.
covering it. If you can cover it, the guys will get it.
Oh.
The guys won't pick something up without a cover on it, that's why.
So yeah, you guys have those bags? I mean, I'll do it.
It's been here a long time. I can call the county tomorrow.
Well, yeah, but you think they'll cover it?
It's a case.
See what I can do, and I'll let you know.
Then you think we can just grab it? Okay, we'll get it done for you.
That's why it's the boss right now.
Yep.
Dawn Kelly, 355 Sapling Way. So, sorry? Oh, it's Dawn Kelly, 355 Sapling Way. So I just wanted to thank you for looking into the YouTube option. I only suggested that because of the ADA compliance that it helps us with. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the Zoom, we would have had to pay a captioner to caption those sessions live, and I did know about the captions for YouTube, so that's awesome. And on the subject of ADA compliance, you talked about the other park and with the engineer and making the other park ADA compliant. I wanted to ask you about Ritter Field. Not just the bathrooms, but I'm going to ask you about the bathrooms as well and the status on the bathrooms. So I brought up the gazebo on a last meeting about the damage to the gazebo that I witnessed and that I took pictures of, and I can send them in an email to, I guess, Mr. Yukas. Maybe that would be you at this point. I was there when we had a small gathering of residents for our meeting, and then I went back there with my grandkids, and it's been very badly damaged, which is very, very sad because it's beautiful. But also I noticed that stepping up into the gazebo, there's not like a step there. It's kind of weird. I don't know, maybe Vinnie, you would know about it. There's not like an official step up, and if you're in a wheelchair, I guess you're supposed to go around the side. But if you're a child or you're like an older person, it is a tripping hazard getting up into it. So I didn't know if maybe you guys could take a look at that.
I'll take a look at it. Yeah, that's no problem.
That's one thing. And then the other thing is the porta potties. I don't want to be a toilet woman, but that's what I am tonight. I want a status of the bathrooms. If you're talking about $85,000 that is able to be used at other recreational sites for pickleball courts and all this other stuff, I'd really like to know. The porta potties, they seemed like they were like a temporary issue because I know that the bathrooms were vandalized at some point, and I know that there was talk about coming up with some sort of plan to address that. I guess I'm kind of curious as to know, were the bathrooms intended to be used during baseball games, or were the bathrooms intended to be used during games, as well as when there weren't any games and people were just there with their little ones in the park when the park was redone?
I think it was kind of both, okay? But the problem that has arisen is whether it's during the games or when there are no games, people just love the vandalized toilets.
Okay, well, my problem with that is, we have all this signage, no animals, no dogs, no ants from California, no nothing, and it's all posted. And there's a padlock and chain on the one thing, I said this at the last meeting, the other gate, it has a flip-down lock, it's broken. Why are we not locking the park when the park is closed? If we have officers or we have recreational people, why are we not locking those gates so that parents that don't know where their teenagers are, or whomever these are, maybe out-of-towner people, I don't know who they are, is very brightly lit, I'll tell you that. You live right across the street from it. I don't know when these people are vandalizing it, I understand that they are. But we paid a lot of money for those bathrooms. What is the status of the inside of that building? It's been, what, locked up since those porta potties were put there?
No, they were open all year.
The bathrooms?
The bathroom's been open.
Then why are there porta potties there? Why are we paying for those?
We paid for the porta potties because it was to do with the hockey was there, so they wanted extra porta potties, and they lock at 10 o'clock at night.
Who pays for those porta potties?
Township.
Why are we paying for hockey porta potties for extra?
Other things too.
Yeah, other fields don't
Yeah.
have bathrooms, like that's probably, I think, the only bathroom on a field in town is at Ritter. TR doesn't have it.
But I'm saying, if we have the bathrooms, why do we need to pay for extra porta potties? We were told, am I wrong, that we were not told that they were vandalized and they were locked at one point?
They were, and then when they have games though, only one person can go to the men's room at a time.
Okay.
So that's why they wanted porta potties, because, yeah, because of the capacity. If you gotta go, you gotta go.
I understand that, but I don't understand why the township should have to pay for porta potties that, I was under the understanding that we were paying for those because the bathrooms were locked,
No.
because they were vandalized.
We're
It's,
down to 1 minute.
right, it's because we have a lot of people that use the fields and they need more than one place to go, if you're a guy or a girl.
Can you tell me how much we pay for those a year, roughly? Ballpark?
It was like $100 a month.
Yeah, $100 a month. And
Not
I
even
add something too.
That covers
The
all
one
of
is
them, right?
ADA. So I did put an ADA one there because we had a problem with the wheelchair. So that's why the one porta potty is there. It's an
So
ADA
people are
bathroom.
using them this time of year, we're paying for them?
They're playing hockey, they were out there the other night, the ice cold playing hockey, I was watching people
Okay,
walk back and
really
forth.
quick with my last 40 seconds or whatever. You talked about charging outside athletic organizations
Yes.
more money to
Yes.
use our fields. Okay, I have a really quick question. It was pointed out to me that our in-town athletic associations, and I only know about the Axel Bulls is what was mentioned to me, that they spend their money to pay for the lights and all of the things when they do their games and such. Is that true that they are responsible to pay for the lights and the police overtime and things when they play certain teams that come into town?
If they request police, yes.
Okay, are they responsible for paying for the lighting and things like that?
Not for the lighting on the poles and that, no.
Okay.
Not for the scoreboard or nothing like that.
They don't have to pay any of those expenses?
Time's up. Sorry.
What, in the application fee that you approved tonight for those, can you just tell me real quick what that includes, that application fee?
It allows WTAA, for one, gives them a schedule because they're a separate entity. Then the other ones, they get charged a fee, and then they can use it at certain times.
Okay.
Hi, Barbara Ogle, 1715 Victoria Lane. I have more questions for clarification more than anything. You had reported, Mayor, on the cannabis subcommittee. I don't see it on here, but you reported it on it. Are you the chairperson to that subcommittee, or?
The chairperson was mayor last year, and we haven't changed anything officially with it, because we're not meeting until we have a canvas, until we have a conflict attorney. So we'll discuss all that once we have the conflict.
And that'll be reorganized?
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, all right.
And I reported it because we promised to report it. It's not
Yeah,
a normal thing that I report on.
I was looking for it and didn't see it, and then you reported it on it, so that was one of my questions. And how many people are on the committee, and will that remain the same?
It's something it's all stuff we can explore. It's 5 of them, right?
Yeah, it's roughly 5.
5 right
Yeah.
Okay, okay, and do you have a cannabis attorney?
Conflict attorney.
Conflict attorney.
That is one topic that we will use them for, but
Because
they're
I was-
technically a conflict
I
attorney.
think in December it was cannabis attorney was
Well,
the term.
we might call it that sometimes. It's conflict attorney. It is a conflict attorney, and that is a topic that we will have to use the conflict attorney for.
Okay.
But there could be other topics, I mean, who knows, but that is one topic we do have our conflict.
Okay, and why are we getting a conflict attorney when we
Because I
have?
recused myself.
What, why?
I recused myself because 2 reasons. Because when I sent letters to all the people that